Welcome to Rewatch-and-Rank. On this channel, we rewatch older TV shows, provide a summary and opinion on the episode before ranking each episode against each other. Today's episode is Merlin Season 2, Episode 3, The Nightmare Begins. Episode in a nutshell is just a brief reminder of what happens within this episode. So we start the episode with Morgana having trouble sleeping, as is normal, while it is storming outside. While she's basically having a nightmare, we can kind of see her eyelids fluttering and her eyes turning gold underneath. We then see that a candle is lit. She then wakes up gasping, and her eyes once again go golden, and the flame on the candle grows until it ends up setting her room on fire. We then see the next day that Uther and Arthur are investigating her rooms to find out why this fire started. Arthur suggests, because the window also got broken by Morgana's magic, that potentially lightning had hit the castle in the storm and that's what set her room on fire. But Uther is convinced that she's being attacked and starts to basically arrest everyone and anyone that's suspected of any sort of wrongdoing, leading to mass arrests. Morgana, of course, realizes that she has magic and that is what has happened, and she goes to Gaius, basically confiding in him that she knows she has magic. He tries to convince her otherwise, saying that it was lightning, wasn't her, there's no way it could possibly be her. And Merlin overhears this conversation and scolds Gaius for not helping Morgana in the way that he has helped him. Merlin, with empathy, decides to bring Morgana flowers, which Arthur sees. And then later on, Morgana comes to Merlin and is basically looking for Gaius, finds Merlin. Merlin tries to tries to comfort her without revealing that he himself has magic, and ultimately ends up doing what Gaius did and not really saying anything constructive, and she of course runs out. He then finds Arthur's list while he is serving him in his chambers of those who are connected to the Druids. He then goes and warns one of the women who is about to be arrested, and basically asks her for help because the dragon, Kilgara, refused to help the witch, which is Morgana. So he went to the Druids instead. Once he finds out where the Druids are, he goes to Morgana and basically says, I can't help you, but here are some people who can. And she goes to find the Druids. However, of course, Uther thinks that she's been kidnapped and so decides that he's going to execute all of the people that they've arrested if she is not returned, and also sends Arthur after the Druids. Morgana goes into the woods. She is attacked by something that they call secrets, or at least that's how it's spelt on the subtitles. But they are essentially giant scorpion things, and she ends up stung in the leg, passing out. As she's about to pass out, in walks a druid, Algin, who does in fact bring her back to the druid's camp, where Mordred has been staying as well, and they are reunited. Merlin, meanwhile, sneaks out of the castle using magic to go and find her, hopefully before the druid camp is attacked, to have her return to Camelot to avoid the worst scenario. However, Arthur and his knights are right behind him and too close for him to actually have any meaningful chance. But Morgana, she speaks with Elgin, who is the leader of the Druids, learns that what she is doing is magic, that it doesn't have to be evil, it can be a force for good, and she decides that she wants to stay and train with them. And Merlin manages to sneak into the camp before Arthur and his men do get there, and he does warn her that Uther's gone a bit crazy, is about to execute a lot of people, and asks her to come back, but she refuses, saying that this is the only place that she doesn't feel alone, that she doesn't want to go back there, that she would be one of the people that he would kill. She doesn't trust him. Merlin promises to keep her secret, and then Algin returns, gets angry that Merlin had led Arthur and them to them, which, to be fair, he kind of did. He did light fires and other such things, leaving noticeable traces of his journey to find Morgana. And anyways, the camp starts to be attacked, and Elgin, Mordred, and Morgana, alongside Merlin, start to run away. And then Merlin turns back, saying that because it's his fault for leading them there, he's going to create a distraction while the others continue running. He then uses his magic to bring in a lot of mist to basically obscure the field of vision, and then allows Arthur to kind of see him through the mist, not clearly, and basically leads the knights away. However, there were a lot of knights, a lot of dogs. Morgana, because of her leg, isn't able to continue and ends up falling down, while Algin and Mordred try to bring her with them. Algin, unfortunately, some of the knights do catch up, and he ends up shot. Mordred then goes to run away on his own, but he gets surrounded. He uses magic to send all of the knights flying away from him, which Merlin happens to see and witness. Before he himself also runs away, Morgana is found and brought back to Arthur, and Merlin, of course, separately goes back to Camelot. Well, Morgana is returned to Camelot, and Uther greets her. Merlin then goes to her rooms later on and basically tells her that he won't tell anyone, he'll be there for her, like that she'll have somebody at least who knows. And she thanks him for that. He leaves. Arthur is under the impression that he has feelings for Morgana and is kind of conflating his feelings for Gwen with Merlin liking Morgana, and basically gives him a bit of a speech or pep talk about why they can't be together because of the class difference. Really kind of talking to himself about Gwen in this case. And Merlin basically just goes, yeah, not interested in her, well, well, not interested in her, knows they can't be together, walks off kind of confused. And that's basically where the episode ends. So now that we've been reminded about what happened, it's time to rank the episode. We rank on two lists, a mostly objective ranking list and then the personal ranking list. So on our mostly objective rank values, I've highlighted those I felt applied. We obviously have our single episode supporting character introduction, which is Algin, who is the leader of the Druid village that Morgana manages to find, saving her from the giant scorpion things, and who has also been taking care of Mordred. And he is worth 1 point. We then have our multi-season supporting character development, which is that Morgana realizes that she has magic, that her dreams are showing the future, that she can light fires with her mind, that she has magic of some sort, and this, of course, scares her. She's terrified of it. She goes to Gaius in a panic. He gaslights her. She then, goes to Merlin for advice because Gaius isn't there when she goes to find him a second time, and Merlin basically avoids the conversation. She then finally gets to go to the Druids, where she's finally able to get the confirmation that she needs, and that she's not evil, that it's a gift, that it can be used for good, so on and so forth. But then as soon as she's starting to feel comfortable there, Merlin's back. The person who helped her is dead. She's back with Uther in Camelot, where she is evil, but she does have a newfound inner peace, as she tells Merlin that she knows now that magic could be good at the end of the episode, and that is worth 3 points. We then also have some world building. We learn some small facts like dragons can live over 1,000 years. There are giant scorpion things called cirquettes. And This is also the first time that we get to see a druid camp. We have seen druids in the past, for example, when Mordred was introduced as a character in season 1, but this is the first time where we have gone to where the druids live and have seen one of their camps that they live in the forest. And that is all worth combined 4 points, which brings us up to 8 points total. However, there is some negatives as well in this episode. The first negative is the negative messaging or behavior, and actually both pieces of negative fall under this category. The first one, of course, is the gaslighting of Morgana. This one, I was questioning whether I should put it here because I understand the intentions of Gaius when he's gaslighting Morgana, and even of Merlin. They're living in a city, a country really, Camelot, that vilifies and condemns all magic of any kind. So Merlin can't just come out and say, hey, I'm magic like you, because what if she tells Uther? Then he's dead. He has to keep his secret, even while he wants to help her with hers. I understand why he would avoid the question. Similarly, Gaius, it was even seen in earlier episodes before she had confirmation in herself, when he was treating her nightmares that were showing the future. In some cases, that he's been trying to block her magic, he's been trying to guide her away from a realization about magic as a form of protection against Uther, because Uther would still kill her even as his ward, because he believes that all magic and all those who possess magic are evil, bar none. So I understand the intentions behind why they're gaslighting her into not trusting herself and acknowledging her magic, but at the same time, it's obviously very damaging to her psyche and emotional well-being, as we see when she's, freaking out, constantly having nightmares, and being so easily swayed by the Druid camp despite losing like all of her luxuries, the people she's grown up around, her friends. She's willing to give all of that up because of the peace that she finally finds in the Druid camp. So I still think the gaslighting is a negative, but I also understand why they're doing it and don't necessarily condemn the characters doing it. However, that being said, when Uther sends Arthur after the Druids, he basically says, take no prisoners, kill everyone on sight, regardless of mothers, or women, children, men, elderly, you name it, they're going to go and kill it. And this indiscriminate killing, of course, is very terrible. Like, it's one thing if somebody attacks you or is doing something evil, then, killing them or arresting them and giving them a proper trial before executing them, that's one thing. But the fact that it was indiscriminate of elderly, children, women, men, like, that part does not sit well. And obviously, I believe it is known that not all druids practice magic. In this, I don't know if that's been specifically said. I feel like I remember that from past rewatches. I don't know if that's specified yet in the series. I can't quite remember. It probably would have been a throwaway conversation even if it was mentioned. But I'm fairly certain not all druids practice magic, though all druids are accepting of magic and have their prophecies and worship nature, so on and so forth. So, killing people who may not have done anything wrong, again, doesn't really sit well. It's the indiscriminateness of the killing that bothers me, and I think is very negative. And because I understand the intentions of one of the negatives, I'm going to count them both together, and so I'm just minusing 2 points total, despite there being the 2 negatives there. And that then brings this episode to a 6 out of 10 episode. And that brings our season 2 rankings so far in our mostly objective ranking to, in first place, the Once and Future Queen, Then The Curse of Cornelius Sagan, and then this episode falls into third place, The Nightmare Begins. So for my personal rankings, typically I try not to repeat the commentary that I've already given in the summary and in the mostly objective rankings. Sometimes I fail at that, but sometimes, most of the time, I try to avoid that. So I'm gonna try not to repeat that. Some of the things that I really liked about the episode, though, that didn't fall into those categories was I loved that magic mist effect when Merlin is going through the forest and is trying to make a distraction, how he kind of like points and then there's like this, oh, not even just the mist, but the whole forest landscape when he's like going through like this thick old forest with like the green moss and the fallen logs, the thick canopy, the various moss covered rocks and underbrush. Like it's just so beautiful. That is exceptional scenery. Love that. And then the mist effect that he brings out, he like points to it, like and there's this opening between like two little rock cliffs and out pours this like really thick mist and then he uses his hand to guide it forward to obscure the path and it is a very nice effect. I love mist effects. Even in The Curse of Cornelius Sagan, just as an honorable mention, loved the mist effect there, the foggy scene outside. This one, same thing. Loved the mist. I also liked that Mordred came back and that Morgana's learning not only about her own magic, but also that Mordred had magic all along because he speaks directly into her mind. I do think it is sad that Morgana doesn't get the help that she needs because obviously, for anyone who's rewatching, which we should all be because it's a very old series. Anyways, because we're rewatchers, we know that in the future she goes a bit wonky. And there are a couple times in this episode where it's like, ooh, if you'd made a different choice there. But that's what fan fiction is for, to see what would have happened if somebody made a different choice. And I have read a few where different choices were made, and they are very good. I don't remember them now, what their names were or anything like that, but I have done that because, what if Merlin had told Morgana that he's the same as her and they became secret allies, covering for each other, learning magic together? Like, imagine how different things would have turned out. And at this time, she does have a good heart. She does not really think that magic is evil. She's defended magic in the past to Uther. So at this point, because she hasn't gone wonky yet, she probably would have kept his secret and he would have kept hers happily ever after. Also, Arthur thinking that Merlin likes Morgana. I do honestly think that they would have made a pretty good couple if the show had been able to go that way. And honestly, there's no reason it couldn't have because obviously Arthur brings up Gwen, so why wouldn't Morgana be able to bring up Merlin too? I feel like that would have been fair. And I do think that they would have made a pretty nice couple with them both being very powerful with magic. Merlin really needs to stop talking to Kogara at this point because Kogara either gives him really good advice that he doesn't follow or just won't give him any help at all. So at this point, he really should just stop talking to him, but he doesn't. And he didn't. He did go to Kogara first for help before going to find the druids. And to be fair, Kilgara could be more clear on why he doesn't like certain people. Like with Mordred, he was like, don't help this kid, but he gave no reason why Merlin should let a child die. So obviously Merlin's not going to do that because he has a heart. Same thing with Morgana. Kilgara is like, do not help the witch. Let the witch suffer. And he's like, she's my friend. Why would I let her suffer? And Kilgara's like, well, I'm not going to tell you that. I'm just saying, let her suffer. So of course Merlin's not going to do that. So he really needs to stop talking to Kogar. Arthur basically just did his own job and had misunderstandings throughout this episode. Gaius also, on the one hand, it is a bit disappointing that, he's so willing and ready to help Merlin, but then he won't do the same for Morgana. But at the same time, he also knows what fate would await Morgana should Uther find out, and ultimately does think that it's safer for her to be ignorant, and that is true. while she was ignorant, that was better, but now that she's found out, he could be a little bit more supportive. Could have been. Let's see, is there anything else of interest? There was actually a lot of magic used in this one. There's obviously Morgana's magic, setting the flame, bursting out the window. Merlin uses magic when he's trying to sneak out. He knocks over a broom, then in his clumsiness starts knocking off other objects as well before using magic to set them all right, though the broom still ends up falling down in the end, but luckily doesn't wake up Gaius as he's escaping. He uses magic to cause a distraction to the guards so that he can run out to a secret tunnel. He then breaks the bars on the secret tunnel with magic. Then he's in the wilderness and he uses magic to light a fire. He then starts to hear the voices of the druids inside of his head telepathically, which allows him to pinpoint where the village he's looking for is, or encampment really, that he's looking for is. And then, of course, as he's letting them get away, he then causes the mist effect, which is amazing as well. And then we also have Mordred using magic to talk into Morgana's mind, and then also when he is surrounded by knights to throw them all back, which honestly is the most magic we've seen from Mordred, I believe, because in his introduction episode, he was very injured, and he was speaking to people in their minds, but he was not throwing people around. So now he is confirmed to be powerful enough to throw people around, which is great for him. I also like that it was a Morgana heavy episode because we haven't really seen a lot of Morgana focused episodes to date. And she is one of my favorite characters, so I really do enjoy that it was very heavily focused on her and her journey in discovering magic. I'm thinking that about covers what I wanted to say, but well, yeah, that's about covers what I wanted to say. So, positives ultimately, Morgana focused, tons of magic effects, really good magic effects, some comedic moments, couple of negatives, but because I understand the intentions behind at least one of those, I do not necessarily personally mark the episode down too far for them. I liked the little cameo that Mordred had. I loved the setting, the scenery of the forest. All things considered, 9 out of 10 episode, my favorite so far this season, which brings us to our season 2 ranking so far on our personal ranking, and The Nightmare Begins in first, second was The Curse of Cornelius Sagan, and then in third was The Once and Future Queen. Which brings us to our final segment of the video, which is our series ranking so far. And on our mostly objective ranking, Season 1 ended with a score of 69.23%. And Season 2 so far has earned 23 out of 120. And then on the personal side, Season 1 ended with a score of 66.92%. And Season 2 so far has earned 20 points out of a possible 120. So with that, we've now rewatched and ranked Merlin Season 2, Episode 3, The Nightmare Begins. Like and subscribe if you'd like to, and I'll see you in the next episode.